Psychology! Development is about how our brain grows and changes over time. In order for us to understand how it changes, we need to understand the different part of the brain. So there's three main parts of the brain called the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain is the largest and most highly developed part of the brain and allows us to think in a higher order, which means that it allows us to learn languages and remember and stuff. The midbrain is for controlling reflexes and movement of the neck, head, and trunk in response to visual and auditory stimuli. The hindbrain is used to regulate breathing, help us keep posture balance, enables us to make precise, accurate movements, and control involuntary actions such as breathing. Now there is also a cerebellum and a medulla oblongata. The cerebellum is located right here, and its job is involved in response such as fear and in functions such as processing sense information. The medulla oblongata, aka just medulla, is in front of the cerebellum. It controls involuntary responses such as sneezing and blinking, as well as heart rate and blood pressure.
May I have your attention, please?
Piaget had this theory called the cognitive development, which suggested that we go through a distinct stages of development. Each stage is fairly long, and our thinking abilities do not change much during these stages. There are 4 stages in total: the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. The sensory motor stage is commonly developed for babies who is 2 years old. It is all about them using their senses and movement to get information about their world. At around 6 months old, they develop object permanence, which means that they learn that objects exist even when they cannot see them. Then there is the pre-operational stage. It is developed commonly at the age of 2 to 7. They start to use words as symbols for objects, which is the beginning of language development. They also see the world through their own eyes, not someone else's, which is called egocentrism. Animism can also be seen where children believe objects can behave as if they were alive. They can only consider one aspect of one factor when they are facing complex question, which is called centration. There is also irreversibility, where the child is unable to reverse events. Then there is the concrete operational stage. This stage is commonly developed at the age of 7 to 12. This is when children begin to apply rules and strategies to help their thinking and use concrete objects to aid their understanding, but they struggle with abstract ideas such as the idea of time. They are able to take multiple views of a situation, which is called centration. Now we got our last stage of development, which is formal operational stage. It is developed from people who has the age more than 12. They can think logically and understand abstract ideas. They also understand that they and others exist in the real world and separated from each other. Piaget said that children develop through adaptations, which means that they adjust to the world as they experience new things. Their ideas take the form of schemas or plans through which they represent the world. They can fit new things into their existing schemas about the world. But as they experience more, they need to change their schemas and create new ones. The definition of a schema is a pattern of knowledge that are formed from what we experience. Such as if you were gonna sit in a room, you're gonna expect a teacher and some classmates in there. Assimilation is when you incorporate new experiences into a schema. For example, a child having a schema for a bird flying and then sees an airplane and then calls it a bird. Accommodation is when a schema that no longer works and has to be changed to deal with a new experience. In this case, the child will see that the bird are alive and aeroplane are not, so they will need to change their everything that flies is a bird schema. Equilibrium is when a child's schema work for them and explain all that they experience. They are in a state of mental balance. The birth schema is changed, airplanes are included, and the child understand that they are flying objects that carry passengers. Dweck's theory is that we have two different kind of mindset: growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A person with growth mindset is a person that believes that effort and hard work can improve their ability and skills in something, whereas people with fixed mindsets believe that their abilities are what you are born with and there's nothing you can do to change it. In her study, she found out that if an adult praised a child for doing something good, they will develop growth mindset, and if they don't get praises, they will develop fixed mindset. Willingham theory is about how our knowledge is more important than our smartness or skill. If they don't have any information, they cannot process anything out of it. He says that practice and effort enables us to master knowledge and skills. Short-term memory involves practice, which means rehearsing what is to be remembered. What is learned then goes to the long-term memory, where it has to be reviewed and practiced to remember it.
บีบเข้าไปบีบน้ำตาลงบีบมือฉันขอร้องให้เห็นใจ
Gunderson et al. Study is about person praise and process praise. A person praise is praising the child to compliment their looks or ability. They have such as saying that the child is smart. This in turn leads to the fixed theory, known as entity theory or entity motivational framework. The result is that the children might not try as hard on the task as they are not good at. So, process praising is praising the child's effort and behavior, and it appears to make the children see that the link between effort and success. They are likely to see ability as changeable and keep to do better. This change theory is known as incremental theory or incremental motivational framework. Morals refer to what is right and wrong in human behavior. Something that is moral is what most people agree is right and good. However, it can change in different cultures. Morality refers to proper behavior. People should behave according to principle of what is right and wrong. It means separating good behavior from bad behavior. Moral development is how children reason about what is right and wrong and how they make moral decisions. There is an important focus on how their understanding of moral behavior changes over time. In Piaget moral development theory, he just suggested that children from age of 5 to 10 believe rules cannot be changed. Their ideas of morality comes from others, such as parents and teachers. At this age, they tend to focus on the action's consequences. From about 10 years old, a child knows that the intention of an action are important. An action with bad consequences can be a good action if the intentions were good. For example, if a kid accidentally break a bottle, a glass bottle, that would still be a good action because the intention was good. Kohlberg suggested there are 3 levels of moral development. The first level is the pre-conventional morality, age up to 9 years old children. This stage is when they believe rules cannot be changed. The only thing that matters is the consequence of the action, where the punishment or reward. The second level is called the conventional morality, which is commonly found with most young people and even adults. This stage is when they see themselves as a good member of society and that their starting point for what is moral behavior. The third level is called the post-conventional morality, which is believed that only 10% of the people reach this level. This is when the individual has their own ideas of what is good and bad, and they truly want to do good to others for the greater good.